Monica Langley of the Wall Street Journal, a fascinating piece by Monica today, chronicling the last several months of the commissioner's journey to this point in time. Joining me here now live on the Rich Eisen Show. The commissioner told you, Monica, that he blew it. Do you think that this, from what you've just heard, first blush, this is all new, do you think that this fixes the problem in a way?
Well, that's clearly what he's trying to do, and I've spent the last several weeks in and out of the NFL office and other, at other events with him, and I watched him as he was somewhat befuddled initially when the public outcry was for his initial two-game suspension with Ray Rice, to where he was determined going into the meeting with the owners today to put in one of the toughest policies in corporate America. So clearly it is designed to show that the NFL is going to come out and remedy what he saw when he said, "I blew it."
Monica Langley of the Wall Street Journal joining me here right now. So how much access did you get to the commissioner for this piece?
Well, apparently it's unprecedented for him. He's not one who, for someone who is such a public figure, and you always see him at football games and, out at the Super Bowl and all that, apparently he doesn't let many people inside. Interestingly, when I proposed to go and do this story with him, I said I had to have good access, and I said, it's a way for you to put the issue behind you. And his answer surprised me, Rich. He said, "I can't put it behind me." And I'm like, okay, then, let's do it. So I challenged him. I said, okay. I mean, he realized at this point he couldn't put it behind him. I thought, I would get him to do it for that reason. But he clearly, I was around enough to, before I left, the interesting thing, if you've been in his office, it's so filled with these, big oversized chairs that the football players come in and sit in. And by the end, I was seeing the more petite women sitting in these chairs, and they're talking about domestic violence statistics, not football statistics. So he was getting a real education to put this in place.
So where would you stand, Monica, on why it was gotten wrong in the first place? So many people have supposed about the culture of the NFL and things of that nature. Where do you stand now, having gotten all of this access on that question?
Why did the NFL and Goodell get it so wrong?
Yeah, in the first place.
Well, you know what? I think that the reason he was so surprised, he thought that the penalty was in keeping with everything they had done for the last several years. In my story in the Wall Street Journal, I had I got the internal documents from the cases of domestic violence since 2000. And typically, the most penalty they gave was a one-game suspension for domestic violence. So when he gave Ray Rice a two-game suspension, he thought that was twice more than what he had done or what the NFL had done in the past. Also, if you recall, the court system, the criminal justice system, had given Ray Rice almost a slap on the wrist because they were letting him enroll in this voluntary program that would ultimately erase any domestic violence charge. So Roger Goodell thought, I'm doing even more than the legal system has done. So that's why he was so taken aback. The problem is, the public outcry showed society thinks you're not doing enough, and he quickly learned he was not. And
so were you with him when he went and visited the domestic violence abuse, centers in Houston? Were you there with him as well? You wrote about that.
No, I was not there. I wish I were, but I interviewed several people, including one person from the hotline, when he was there and when he went to dinner afterwards. And the interesting thing is, when he arrived down and he went in the private plane, this was not in my story, he went down in a private plane to go to Austin, and the media got wind that he was arriving, and he didn't want the media to see him coming into the hotline. So he sat on the plane for almost 2 hours hoping they'd go away, and they didn't. So, he's been kind of a hunted man for the last couple of months and didn't say anything. So I think it was interesting that now he's coming out and trying to make a big change. But when he was at the hotline, with permission, he got on and listened to some calls. And then when he went to dinner, people told me he was clearly affected, which is, as you know, he first ordered a glass of wine and he said, changed his mind. He goes, I need a stiff drink. Because he heard actual women, hanging up the phone because their husbands were coming back in to beat them.
Monica Langley of the Wall Street Journal joining me here. So do you think, again, just knowing what you know about what the league was attempting to do and now what they are doing, first blush, do you think that this streamlines the process enough that will satisfy the fans? I know the union won't be happy about it, but do you think that this satisfies from the fan base that this is going to be an even-handed way, as well as a way to mete out the proper punishment in the eyes of the fan base, Monica?
You know, I think the fan base will see this is going to be a tough policy. The union will also see it's tough and it doesn't involve them, and they won't like that. They want this to be part of the collective bargaining process. The interesting thing is, although the new policy sets up committees and things like that to make the initial determinations, and the NFL now will not wait, as it did in the Ray Rice decision, for the criminal justice system to handle it. It will do its own investigation. The interesting thing, however, Rich, is you notice ultimately Roger Goodell or his designee will make the final decision. Roger Goodell is not going to give up on his authority to protect the shield. And that's what he said to me so many times. That is what he believes. He told me, I don't work for the owners. I work for that shield. I was in his office so many times, and he would say, I work for the shield.
It's on the wall. That shield's on the wall. I've been in that office in those big chairs.
Yeah, on the wall. It's in the center of every conference table in the whole darn building.
The last question for you, Monica. Were you there for the famed pizza incident now? That nobody would eat the pizza until the commissioner ate it? Were you there for the pizza night? You there?
I'm not going to say if I was there, but let's just say nobody ate any pizza. It turns out he was never going to eat it because he hates cheese.
Now I've been around this man for 11 years. That I did not know. He doesn't like cheese? Is that right?
No, he doesn't like cheese. They should have known that. Anyway, it was really fun to go. You know, I went to the Giants Cowboys game with him, and that was like a whole different thing. You know, all these fans feel like we're crazy, wanting to fist bump him, get cell phone pictures.
Amazing.
You know, at one point the fans are yelling, "Bring back Ray Rice!" At another point they say, "Stick to your guns." I mean, the one thing you have to say: football fans are passionate, no matter which way they came down on this issue.
Monica, thanks for calling in. It's a great piece. Everyone should read it on the Wall Street Journal. I appreciate you calling in.
Thank you.
You bet. That's Monica Langley of the Wall Street Journal.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.